in Eastern Canada. We are assembling online for the reading and discussion of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the philosophy of the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the life and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as presented by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, who is our guru in this group of Prabhupada disciples who are also members of the Hare Krishna Society globally. And we want to welcome everyone, of course, to this program, because it is a means for maintaining our Krishna consciousness through the process of hearing and chanting from bona fide sources. And of course, the bona fide spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, he lives with all of us in sound vibration. And Prabhupada is available to us for all the new people joining us and those that are already participating. Prabhupada is present on many platforms with the use of modern technology. You can have, when you're chanting your rounds, we chant 16 rounds every day, our members. When you chant your rounds, you can have Prabhupada chant, you can chant along with Srila Prabhupada on multiple platforms where they feature his japa classes. So it's very helpful. And along with that, you can listen to his lectures that are on many websites and many platforms. And you can hear thousands and thousands of lectures by Srila Prabhupada and get a clear understanding of our philosophy from him directly, because he's still living in sound. And along with that, there are his books, which we are reading this evening. And we have multiple classes every week, 3 classes a week, Wednesday nights, and on Saturday and Sunday morning at 10 a.m., Eastern Standard Time here in Canada and the East Coast of America. And on Saturday, we read from Bhagavad Gita as it is, the unedited 1972 edition. And on Sunday, we're studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the postgraduate study of our philosophy. And very, very enlivening opportunity for everyone who's encumbered by the material body. We are living in the prison house of material existence in this material body, Vijaya Pandit. And it's Prabhupada explains to us that the spirit soul has a bad bargain in the material body. It's not eternal. It's not blissful, and it's not filled with knowledge. But the living entity is Sat Chit Ananda. It is, the living entity is the eternal part and parcel of Krishna. And through this process of hearing and associating and chanting from bona fide sources, the dormant understanding of our position as eternal servants of Krishna becomes manifest. I, dwelling within the heart, Krishna explains, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Prabhupada's mission was to do that. When he first came to America, he saw everyone so lost in Maya completely. And these days, it's got worse. The material world we're in the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age of quarrel and hypocrisy, and we're progressing. And as it moves along, we're all seeing in our own lives, wherever we are, how difficult human life is becoming, how dangerous it is with all these current wars again. It reminds me of Vijay Pandit. It reminds me of Vietnam in the 60s. It was all of the focus was on the Vietnam War between America and France and the people in their countries that they were trying to, teach whatever they do. So this war, these wars in Ukraine, these wars in Israel and Palestine, these are a result of the sinful life of the conditioned souls living in the Kali Yuga. Be not confused about the situation that we're in. But simultaneously, we were also on a journey, and Prabhupada was trying to educate us when he first came on what our purpose of life is. And we're going to read today, Balaram in Australia. Unfortunately or fortunately, we're at the end of this wonderful diary that's been put together. Here it is, here, the picture. That's good, thank you, Venkat. Bhatta Prabhu in Bangalore, India. And we're going to read a press release from that was written by Hayagriva, Howard Wheeler. Very interesting look at where he was at back then and where everybody else was at that time, how they presented the philosophy and the position of Prabhupada at that time. And if you read between the lines, you can really get some insight. So let's go ahead and get into this. October 11th, 1968. Attention radio and television stations, newspapers, and magazines in New York City. Gentlemen, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is a recently formed group of New Yorkers, mostly in their 20s, who are interested in Indian philosophy and religion. Swami A.C. Bhaktivedanta, India's leading personalist, eminent scholar, philosopher, and devotee of Lord Krishna, God, is teaching the science of God through his lectures on the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible of Hinduism, and through kirtan, group singing and chanting of the holy name of God. Okay, so two things. The devotees of the Swami feel that his greatest contribution, aside from his presence, is his introducing kirtan to Americans. Kirtan is very catchy. It goes drums, cymbals, harmonium, tampura, voices, and other instruments are used in addition to dancing. Krishna consciousness is a cross between Eastern mysticism and the sound and fury of Western revivalism. The time has come to broadcast by radio, television, newspapers, and magazines both the message of the Gita and kirtan, singing, chanting, and dancing. Perhaps it would be possible for radio and television stations to sponsor some time for kirtan in a talk by Swami Bhaktivedanta. We have held kirtans in New York City parks, which have been successful, as you can see by the enclosed reprint from October 10th, New York Times. We will be holding another kirtan in Tompkins Square Park next Sunday, October 16th. And here, extended invitations to all New York City radio, television, newspaper, and magazines concerned. This isn't exactly a press release, certainly not the format, but it's an effort. It is necessary to meet a wider audience. With the current interest in spiritualism in America, your listeners, viewers, and readers would be especially interested and would consider this a bold and different step that would be a blessing for all connected. After all, communications must be used to shout the good news of God and the universe to all peoples. This transcendental kirtan is also an answer to LSD. Very popular back then. I think they were taking it, Keith Ham and this Howard Wheeler, which the government is now trying to suppress. We succeed in interesting searches for the transcendental experience without the artificial aid of drugs. Krishna Kirtan is not sectarian and is neither occult or difficult. Chanting Hare Krishna mantra on the Allenberg TV show and the whole program was suddenly spiritualized and transformed. So true. We must offer this on a wider scale. Only by becoming more God conscious can real peace in the world be attained. We thank you for your suggestions and welcome you to the park at Avenue A and 7th Street, Sunday, October 16th. Sincerely, Howard Wheeler. So it gives us some flavor of the sincerity of these neophyte devotees back then who were making an effort progressively to promote Srila Prabhupada as the preeminent preacher of Krishna consciousness in the modern times. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful diary. We'll now move to the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the class given by His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, who's in California, from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the Adi Leela, first volume. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Muspat Paramahansa Parivrajaga-ācārya Sattva Small Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Nāma-ācārya Sri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Bhog Gopinath Sam Khanda Radha Khanda Giridhar ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai ki Jai, Jamuna Mai ki Jai, Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jai, Swami Bhaktivedanta ki Jai, all glories to their Supreme. All glories to their Supreme. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you, Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I do offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Tato jayam mudirayat. Tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Nara-Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. As we do every week, we will first read a few verses from the Adi Lila, chapter 1, text number 18 to 22, which is a description of the power and benefit of hearing and reading Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text 19. 18 Thakur Gadiya ke Karya Chenoyatma Sat. 18 Era Charana Vandan Tire Morenat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinata, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Grante Rarambi Kari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Text 21. Tinera smarane ay vigna vinashana, anayase ay nijavanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Text 22. Simangala charanai trivida prakar, vastu nirdesha shiravada namaskara. The invocation invokes three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Want to mention before we start the actual reading and the purports that this reading is based on the original, unchanged, non-adulterated, original Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the original 1974 version. All purports, synonyms, and translations by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Today we will be reading from Adi Lila, chapter 1, text 68. We will read a few of the verses. Dui rupe hoy bhagavanira prakash, iteta prakasho hoy arta vilas. Dui rupe, in two forms. I are Bhagavanera, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prakasha, manifestations. Eke, in one. Ta, certainly. Prakasha, manifestation. Haya, is. Are, in the other. Ta, certainly. Vilasa, engage in pastimes. Translation by Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhu, is that chapter 4?
Oh, I get the wrong one again. Okay, sorry about that. Me bad. Chapter 4, text 68. Yalladina sara prema prema sara bhav, bhavera paramakashta nama mahabhava, alladinira, of the pleasure potency, sara, the essence, prema, love for God, prema sara, the essence of such love, bhava, emotion, bhavera, of emotion, paramakashta, the highest limit, nama, name, mahabhava, mahabhava. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The essence of the Alladini potency is love of God. The essence of love of God is emotion, bhava. And the ultimate development of emotion is mahabhava. Purport. The product of the Alladini Shakti is love of Godhead, which has two divisions, namely pure love of Godhead and adulterated love of Godhead. Only when the Alladini Shakti emanates from Sri Krishna and is bestowed upon the living being to attract him, does the living being become a pure lover of God. But when the same Alladini Shakti is adulterated by the external material energy and emanates from the living being, it does not attract Krishna. On the contrary, the living being becomes attracted by the glamour of the material energy. At that time, instead of becoming mad with love of Godhead, the living being becomes mad after material sense enjoyment. And because of his association with the qualitative modes of material nature, he is captivated by its interaction of distressful, unhappy feelings. Text 69. Mahabhava Swarupa Sri Radha Thakurani Sarvagunakani Krishna Kanta Shiromani. Mahabhava, of Mahabhava, Swarupa, the form, Sri Radha Thakurani, Srimati Radharani, Sarvaguna, of all good qualities, Kani, mine, Krishna Kanta, of the lovers of Lord Krishna, Shiromani, crown jewel. Translation. Sri Radha Thakurani is the embodiment of Mahabhava. She is the repository of all good qualities and the crest jewel amongst all the lovely consorts of Lord Krishna. Purport. The unadulterated action of the Alladini Shakti is displayed in the dealings of the Densals of Vraja and Srimati Radharani, who is the topmost participant in that transcendental group. The essence of the Alladini Shakti is love of Godhead. The essence of love of Godhead is bhava, or transcendental sentiment. And the highest pitch of that bhava is called Mahabhava. Srimati Radharani is the personified embodiment of these three aspects of transcendental consciousness. She is therefore the highest principle in love of Godhead and is the supreme lovable object of Sri Krishna. Text number 70. Tayor api ubayor madhye Radhika sarvatadika Mahabhava swarupeyam Gune rati varishyasi. Tayoho, of them, api, even, ubhayoho, of both, Chandravali and Radharani, madhye, in the middle, Radhika, Srimati Radharani, Sarvata, in every way, Adhika, greater, Mahabhava Swarupa, the form of Mahabhava, Iyam, this one, Gune, with good qualities, Ativarishyasi, the best of all. Translation. Of these two gopis, Radharani and Chandravali, Srimati Radharani is superior in all respects. She is the embodiment of Mahabhava, and she surpasses all in good qualities. Purport. This text is verse 2 of the Ujjvala Nilamani of Srila Rupa Goswami. Text 71. Krishna prema bhavita yandra chitendriya kai, Krishna nija shakti radha kridara sahai. Krishna prema, love for Lord Krishna. Bhavita, steeped in. Yanra, whose. Chitta, mind. Indriya, senses. Kaya, body. Krishna, of Lord Krishna. Nija Shakti, the own energy. Radha, Srimati Radharani. Kridhara, of pastime. Sahaya, companion. Translation. Her mind, senses, and body are steeped in love for Krishna. She is Krishna's own energy and she helps him in his pastimes. Purport. Srimati Radharani is as fully spiritual as Krishna. No one should consider her to be material. She is definitely not like the conditioned souls who have mental bodies, gross and subtle, covered by material senses. She is all spiritual, and both her body and mind are all of the same spiritual embodiment. Because her body is spiritual, her senses are also spiritual. Thus her body, mind, and senses fully shine in love of Krishna. She is the personified Alladini Shakti, the pleasure-giving energy of the Lord's internal potency, and therefore she is the only source of enjoyment for Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna cannot enjoy anything that is internally different from him. Therefore, Radha and Sri Krishna are identical. The Sandhini portion of Sri Krishna's internal potency has manifested the all-attractive form of Sri Krishna. Then the same internal potency in the Alladini feature has presented Srimati Radharani, who is the attraction for the all-attractive. No one can match Srimati Radharani Radharani in the transcendental pastimes of Sri Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances to our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Bandhanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataha Adadhanastrinam Danter Idam Yache Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padamboja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratvishe Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before we begin, a few explanations here and comments. I wanted to offer an apology for some terminology which we've used last week during one of our classes when we referred to the word demise with regard to Srila Prabhupada. It's not, several devotees have contacted me and mentioned that this may not be the most appropriate word. The word departure might be more appropriate, which is quite fine. So we do not want to offend anyone, and sure, we do not want to offend His Divine Grace Himself. It is correct. The word demise is not appropriate with regard to Srila Prabhupada. As we all know, Srila Prabhupada is always present in his Vani incarnation, in his books, in his Murti, in his picture. As such, if anybody's feelings have been slighted or offended, we apologize for that. Now, coming to the discussions here about Radharani, it's very important because there are some sampradayas in India, particularly South Indian sampradayas, who basically claim that Radharani's name is not mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, the problem with that argument is that although the name is not directly mentioned, it is indirectly mentioned when in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is discussion of the Rasa Lila, all the various gopis that were dancing with Krishna. And one of the gopis, Krishna's favorite gopi, Radharani, left the dance. And it is described, Anayardito nunan Bhagavan Haririshvaraha, that this particular gopi, that topmost gopi, Radhika, this has been commented upon by Jiva Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, that this particular gopi, Krishna's favorite gopi, is Radharani. Although she is not directly mentioned by name, there is also explanation in the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti of why Shukadev Goswami did not mention her by name. the explanation are basically to the effect that this is such a very confidential topic that it had to be mentioned in an indirect way. Now, it's important to note that even in various shastras, such as the Vishnu Purana, Brahma-vaivarta Purana, and numerous other literature in the Vedas, Padma Purana, also other Puranas, the name of Radharani is mentioned. She's the topmost devotee of Lord Krishna. So it is not a very sound argument for anybody to say that Radharani is not mentioned. Another argument which is mentioned that there's no record anywhere of a Radharani deity being worshipped until the king of Jagannath Puri, Pratap Rudra Maharaj, installed a deity of Radharani besides Lord Krishna. Oh, that may be, but that does not invalidate the statement of various scriptures. Interestingly, I had a personal experience with Srila Prabhupada in 1977 in May, when Srila Prabhupada one time at night asked me, "What do you think about this Vrindavan?" First, Prabhupada said, "Do you hear this?" I said, "What is that, Prabhupada?" I said, "Well, the peacocks, the monkeys, the parrots, the birds, do you hear all that?" I said, "Oh, yes, it's very nice." I said, "This is very special." And Prabhupada, this place is the highest place in the universe. I said, "Oh." I said, "But Prabhupada, didn't you mention before that Mayapur and Navadvip is also the highest place in the universe because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed his pastimes there?" It says, "Yes, that is there. But in this particular place, Radharani came here, Krishna Balaram, we used to play around here, this exact place, not too far from here. So this is a very, very special place." And then Prabhupada asked me, "So what do you think of this place?" I said, "Oh, it's very sweet." So then I quoted a verse to Srila Prabhupada that he had mentioned in this Caitanya-caritāmṛta, how this land of Vrindavan is very, very special. Why? Because the gopis are here, and amongst the gopis, Radharani is there. It's from the Adi Purana. So this is, and Prabhupada smiled, he says, "Yes, that is a very nice place." He says, "Now you make arrangements to stay here." So some way or other, by Krishna's mercy, Prabhupada has revealed the glories of Vrindavan, the glories of Srimati Radharani. And it's very important when we study this Caitanya-caritāmṛta, there are so many transcendental gems, so many statements from Srila Prabhupada. Just like if we look at text number 70, Prabhupada is quoting from the Ujjval Nilamani of Rupa Goswami about the exalted position of Radharani. He says, "Tayorapi ubayor madhye, radhika sarvatadika, mahabhava swarupeyam, gune rati variyasi." Of these two gopis, Radharani and Chandravali, Srimati Radharani is superior in all respects. She is the embodiment of Mahabhava, and she surpasses all in good qualities. Prabhupada explained that this is from the Ujjval Nilamani of Rupa Goswami. It's important to note that in the Nectar of Instruction, as part of our discussion to understand where Radharani is mentioned in the Puranas and Vedas, as part of these discussions, Prabhupada in one place quotes from the Chandogya Upanishad, where it says that Radharani is always loving Krishna and Krishna is always loving Radharani. It's basically a rendering of a very esoteric section of that Upanishad. And also in the Vishnu Purana, Yatarada Priyos Vishnos Radhi, that it is explained that of all the gopis, this gopi Radharani is the favorite of Lord Krishna. She's the topmost gopi. So we know in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, we place very special attention to the worship of Radharani, to the praising of Radharani, very, very special. And we see how Srila Prabhupada explains how to reach. Last week, we were discussing this stage of Vishuddha Sattva, Vasudeva Sattva, the stage of topmost unalloyed goodness. There is regular goodness. There's Sattva Gun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Now, in the material world, the sattva guna is often mixed with rajagun, mode of passion, and tamagun, a mode of ignorance. But when one is perfectly situated in mode of complete unalloyed goodness, it's called Vasudev Sattva or Vishuddha Sattva. And this is a very, very special position. And Prabhupada goes on to explain in 67 and 68, the essence of love of God. Prabhupada says, Prema Sara Bhava, the essence of love of God is emotion bhava. And the ultimate development of emotion is Mahabhava. Now, in one other purport, Srila Prabhupada explained this Mahabhava is not possible for regular human beings. This is only possible for the gopis and Radharani. But one can reach very highly elevated love, stages of love of Godhead, by following the process given by Srila Prabhupada. I've often told the story of a devotee named Ujjvala Devi Dasi. When I first came to Los Angeles in July of 1970, this devotee, very nice devotee, and she explained that she had received the name Ujjvala from Srila Prabhupada at the time of her initiation. So I asked her, well, what does that name mean? And she went to Srila Prabhupada and asked him, what does that mean? And Prabhupada said, this is a description by Rupa Goswami of the most elevated stage of love of Godhead, Ujjvala. And Prabhupada says, if you chant your rounds, follow these regulative principles and follow my instructions, you will reach this in this lifetime, guaranteed. Because there is some propaganda by some so-called Vaishnavas who claim that this is not sufficient to reach the highest stage of love of God, just to follow the principles and follow Prabhupada's instruction. But we know on the basis of Srila Prabhupada's own statements that if we follow these instructions, gradually one will become purified and one will attain these highly elevated stages of love of Godhead. We can already perceive, just like if you eat a meal, if you're very hungry and you eat a meal, no one has to give you a certificate when you're satisfied, when you're full. Naturally, you will feel it, you will understand it. So it's the same thing by following Srila Prabhupada's instruction and following the process, reading his books, assuming you can get the original books, the non-adulterated books, then you will reach that stage. One will reach that stage. Because if one artificially tries to jump like a monkey to these highest literatures and these highest principles of prema bhakti, then as we've seen before and have actually witnessed so many times, devotees become very confused. And the preaching stops, the preaching diminishes, and so much nonsense goes on. So this is a very important point. Now, we're not in the business of criticizing or publicly chastising or blaspheming any devotee, even those devotees whom we may have differences with. This is a very important point. Very important point. Just like before I came on the talk tonight, I got a posting from a devotee. Actually, it was a posting from Vishwakarma Prabhu. I don't know who wrote it. It was an analysis, very, very well done, very tactfully and well presented, very well articulated, about the three kinds of initiations that have been going on in ISKCON for the last 46 years. So it's a very tactful presentation. And then it explains what Srila Prabhupada factually did, what he actually did. So it's not difficult to understand the philosophy Prabhupada has presented. It is not complicated. It only becomes complicated if one goes out of bounds of the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. Very, very important. Just like earlier this week, I had a conversation with Balaram Prabhu in Australia. And we were talking about some events which took place in the 1970s during Srila Prabhupada's manifested presence. And he was explaining some of the difficulties that some devotees had with following Srila Prabhupada's instructions. In other words, some devotees had their own idea how they felt that Prabhupada's instructions should be followed. They had concocted their own understanding of how his instructions should be followed, and they were going to do things their own way. Well, following one's own way is not the best recipe for success. That is not. If we look, for example, in some of these search engines and look at the word whimsical, look at the word deviation, spoiled, finished, there are so many warnings given by Srila Prabhupada about the result of inventing one's own way, manufacturing one's own way, concocting so many things. It is not good. It is not good. As a matter of fact, we've often discussed this, how in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam, that real dharma, to understand what is real religious principle, what is real spiritual life, that is only given, sakshat bhagavat pranitam. It is given directly by God himself. This is what the Srimad Bhagavatam is. We'll see in the 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Lord Brahma, the chief engineer in the universe, received the original Srimad Bhagavatam, called the Chatushloki Bhagavata, directly from Lord Krishna himself. Directly. Then Lord Brahma gave it to his sons, the 4 Kumaras. Also, Lord Brahma taught the Srimad Bhagavatam to one of his topmost disciples, Narada Muni. Narada Muni passed on the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam to Vyasadeva, and Shukadev Goswami, while he was in the womb of his mother, heard the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why, just like on this planet, sometimes where there are big events, they have big sporting events. I think, what did he call this? Soccer? There's another name they call it. Football, something. Some kind of world football festival of some sort. And everybody, millions of people, billions of people will go watch this event. It's a big event. In America, they have some kind of every year, the Super Bowl or some kind of a final of the American style football. It's considered a very big event. And they have different sports with different final events. So much interest is given to these various events. So when the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Maharaj Parikshit decided that he was going to fast on the bank of the Ganges for 7 days and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami came there. It's important to note that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 1st canto, chapter 17, where it describes the great personalities who came to attend this big event. This was not just a big event on this planet. This was the biggest event in the universe. When you look at the description of the great rishis, the great sages, the great saintly persons, the great Brahmins, everybody was there. Vyasadeva, Vasita, Devala, Atri Muni, the Sapta Rishis, so many great personalities came there. Example, why did they come there? Because the topmost devotee, Shukadev Goswami, had come, and he was going to deliver the Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit. This was the Super Bowl of all Super Bowls, the utmost event, the topmost event in the entire history of the universe, that the most complete literature, the most complete transcendental literature giving the essence of love of God, what is the creation, what is the position of the living entity, what is the qualities, the name, the form, the activities of the personality of God, and it's all given there. And they knew this was going to be very, very important. It's quite significant that in one of the purports, Prabhupada talk about the exalted position of Shukadeva Goswami. And Prabhupada says one should never minimize the position of an exalted devotee like Shukadeva Goswami or his representative. Now, this is very important because we know there's a lot of devotees who considered Prabhupada just Swami Maharaj, or he was just a guru amongst many other gurus, or he was just a sadhu who came there at the right place in the right time. No, this is the wrong understanding. Of course, even if one wants to appreciate Prabhupada that way, it is better than no appreciation, but one should increase his understanding. One should refine his understanding to understand how to understand the exalted position of a personality like Srila Prabhupada. Just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many descriptions of great personalities, great devotees, and so many beautiful verses describing the exalted position of such person. There's a nice verse in the first canto where it describes Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani Svantasvena Gadabrita, that you are such an exalted soul that you purify the places of pilgrimage themselves. Srila Prabhupada was not just a regular sadhu. He was a Nitya Siddha, an eternally liberated soul who came from the spiritual world to this planet to deliver the message of Lord Chaitanya. He was the chosen ambassador of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The one time devotees on a morning walk asked Srila Prabhupada, why didn't Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come to the Western countries? Prabhupada very nicely described, because he left the credit for me. Prabhupada was predicted. We've often discussed this. He was predicted by Lord Nityananda Prabhu, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Bhaktivedanta Thakur, by Lochan Das Thakur in the Chaitanya Mangala, how a great Senapati Bhakta, a great devotee, like a commander, like an army commander, he would come to deliver this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if one out of foolishness or envy or disrespect neglects the exalted position of such a person, it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. One has to use his God-given intelligence to see things as they are, to see the facts, what Prabhupada accomplished, the circumstances that he accomplished, the kind of circumstances that he did. It's like we keep reading about these diaries. Well, why do we read from these diaries? Because we want to get a better understanding of what Srila Prabhupada went through to establish this transcendental movement. This is very important. It helps us to appreciate what he did, the sacrifices, his super level of tolerance, a great paramamsa that he is. Now, this is very, very important. Just like when all the great sages assembled at Naimisharanya, they elected Sutta Goswami as the topmost speaker because he was a very, very important person. Same thing, Shukadeva Goswami, when he decided to recite the Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit after being cursed to die within 7 days. Everybody knew this is going to be a major event. They didn't need to put posters up. Everybody all over the universe knew. They all knew this is the topmost devotee, Maharaj Parikshit, and the topmost guru, the topmost authority in the matter of spiritual knowledge, Shukadeva Goswami. So it's up to us. We may not have been there 5,000 years ago or 500 years ago, but if we hear properly, if we develop the sense of hearing, of submissive hearing, oral reception, we can connect with these transcendental events. We can appreciate the depth of knowledge, the nectarian ambrosial nature of these special teachings. So this is very, very important. Let us pray to Krishna and Srimati Radharani that we can develop an appreciation for these very, very sweet nectarian topics. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. And I thought it was a very profound explanation of Prabhupada's position as the ambassador of Lord Chaitanya for the modern times. And if we want to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, we have to follow precisely what he has taught us, because there are 5 primary relationships with Krishna in the spiritual world: neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental humor, and conjugal love. And Radharani is the personification of perfect love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Can we understand it? At this particular stage in our spiritual development, it may be very difficult for most of us to understand this, but we can understand Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, the responsibility of the disciple to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. And like you said in the talk, which I thought was very profound, that Prabhupada said, if you do follow them, then you will reach, even in this lifetime, the highest standards of spiritual life possible. This, of course, is extraordinary opportunity for all of us, because being raised from a Christian religion myself, we never had any explanation of who God was, what to speak of relationship. Right? You saw a picture of him in the catechism in the grade school, showing God sitting behind a big bench like a judge with no face. So God is never understood as being a person. And there is no explanation of relationship either. So we are capable of becoming spiritually advanced by learning the art of service. This is the principle of Bhakti Yoga, to become the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And in this way, one can get the attention of Krishna. Do not try to see God, but act in such a way that God will want to see you. And this way, we get the result that we're looking for in the practice of Krishna consciousness. And before we carry on, we're going to ask our various members today from around the world, Rupa Manjari, Shama Sundar, Balaram, and Dharma Bhavana, later in the discussion, their points of view on this wonderful verse. I wanted to go to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's page 14, XIV, in the Nectar of Devotion. And just read a small section here from Prabhupada in the introduction, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, just to further advance what you were saying in terms of making progress in Krishna consciousness by following in the footsteps of the pure devotee. This internal engagement in Bhakti Rasa can be understood by a serious student upon studying the Nectar of Devotion. Here it is here. This is the unedited version. It's been reprinted. Adoption of Bhakti Rasa or Krishna consciousness will immediately bring one to an auspicious life free from anxieties and will bless one with transcendental existence, thus minimizing the value of liberation. Bhakti Rasa itself is sufficient to produce a feeling of liberation because it attracts the attention of the Supreme Lord. Excuse me. Because it attracts, Because it attracts the attention of Krishna, generally neophyte devotees are anxious to see Krishna or God, but God cannot be seen or known by our present materially blunt senses. The process of devotional service, as it is recommended in the Nectar of Devotion, will gradually elevate one from the material condition of life to the spiritual status, wherein the devotee becomes purified of all designations, American, Canadian, Indian, etc. The senses can be uncontaminated, being constantly in touch with bhakti rasa. When the purified senses are employed in the service of the Lord, one becomes situated in bhakti rasa life. And any action performed for the satisfaction of Krishna in this transcendental bhakti raja stage of life can be relished perpetually. When one is thus engaged in devotional service, all varieties of rasas or mellows turn into eternity. So here Prabhupada speaking from direct realization. In the beginning, one is trained according to the principles of regulation, under the guidance of the Acharya or spiritual master, and gradually, when one is elevated, devotional service becomes automatic and spontaneous eagerness to serve Krishna. There are 12 kinds of rasas, as will be explained in this book, and by renovating our relationship with Krishna in 5 primary rasas, we can live eternally in full knowledge and bliss. So very encouraging words from Srila Prabhupada from his transcendental realized position. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, could you further articulate?
Going back on this point that some people object that because Radharani is not mentioned in the Bhagavatam, therefore they could not accept that. It's interesting to note that even Adi Shankaracharya wrote a Ashtakam called Yamuna Ashtakam, where he mentions the name of Radharani. There's another book called Sanat Kumar Samhita, where the name of Radharani is also very nicely given. There's numerous literatures that are given, cited by Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Baladevi Vibhushana, Vishwanath Chakravarti, because these acharyas are not just some regular person who became great devotees, who became advanced devotees. These acharyas were eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya, who came at different times to spread the message and push forward the movement of Lord Chaitanya. Just this week, one devotee sent me some information about Baladevi Vibhushana and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It is well known that Vishwanath Chakravarti was very old, living in Radhakund, when the Gaudiya Vaishnavas were challenged by the Ramanandis, some followers of Ramanuja in northern India. They were challenged with regards to Radharani being on the altar and being worshipped first before Lord Narayana. So Baladevi Vibhushana went to see Vishwanath Chakravarti, and he was deputed or commissioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti to go there and argue the position of the 6 Goswamis of the Gaudiya Siddhanta, the bona fide Gaudiya Siddhanta. One of his followers or disciple was one Krishna Dev Sarvabhauma, another very big Vedic scholar, that he wrote commentaries on some of Baladevi Vibhushana and some of Vishwanath Chakravarti's work. And in one of his commentaries, that devotee mentioned that Vishwanath Chakravarti was a reincarnation of Rupa Goswami who had come back to re-explain his teachings about Krishna, the gopis, Radharanis, the highest tattvas, and all of that. So some of these devotees that we are getting these literatures, Prabhupada has given us all these literatures. It's very important to understand these personalities are associates of Lord Chaitanya. It's described by Narottam Das Gorangir Sangi Gane that if one understands Nitya Siddha Karimani, that these great personalities, associates of Lord Chaitanya, are Nitya Siddha Parshada. Nitya Siddha Parshada means eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya who have come here, then one will become liberated. Now this is very important because sometimes devotees think that some of these devotees were ordinary devotees who became advanced, who became liberated. No. They were liberated right from birth. And they exhibited these different activities, these different pastimes according to time, place, and circumstances to promote the bona fide correct Siddhanta. It's like Prabhupada came at a specific time. Well, although there were many other Vaishnavas, there were many other devotees that had also been practicing Krishna consciousness. But when we analyze what he accomplished, what he actually did to spread Krishna consciousness, any intelligent person will understand this person was especially empowered. Just like Vishwanath Chakravarti was especially empowered to present the original teachings of Rupa Goswami. Baladev Vibhushan had been especially empowered by Vishwanath Chakravarti to compile the Govinda Bhashya within a few weeks, to compile a Vedanta Sutra commentary in a few weeks. It had never been done before. Nobody ever done. That's why it's called Govinda Bhashya, the commentary of Lord Govinda. He sat in front of Lord Govinda and took the dictation of Rupa Goswami's deity, Radha Govinda, and he wrote down this elaborate commentary establishing the supremacy of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Very, very exalted souls. Hare Krishna.
Excellent. We have Balaram in Australia. Maybe you could further elaborate on Prabhupada's unique position, as Yaśodā-nanda has been discussing today in the program, on his unique position as the bona fide pure devotee of Lord Chaitanya and the authorized representative of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami.
Hare Krishna, Prabhus, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for the wonderful discourse, Yaśodā-nanda Prabhu. Wonderful explanation of the most exalted position of the devotees coming in the line of Parampara. Today is actually, you were mentioning Raghunath Das Goswami, and today is actually, because we're on Indian time here, Sridham Mayapur time, today is the very special, it's the disappearance celebration of Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, who is the author of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta that we're reading here now. So you'll have the wonderful experience of celebrating that, I think, when you wake up tomorrow morning, in terms of the funny time change that we have in this material world. Unfortunately, we're not, it's absolute, but we're in different time stages. So this wonderful technology is allowing us to come and associate. So Tag Vigyanatam Sagurum Eva Bigatschet Samit Panishrotyam Brahmanishtam. The Mundaka Upanishad says that if you want to learn this transcendental science, Tad Vigyanatam, we see in the material world there's knowledge. You know, we're not short of knowledge in the material world. You know, there are great philosophers, great scientists, engineers, so many people engaged in the process of knowledge. Srila Prabhupada said you learn that knowledge in the slaughterhouses of education, the universities. Prabhupada coined that, the universities, the slaughterhouse of education. So there's no shortage of gyan, or knowledge, you might say, but vigyan. Vigyan is the transcendental knowledge. Tad vigyanam sa evam evabigatschet. To learn that transcendental science, we have to approach the bona fide spiritual master coming in the line of disciplic succession. And Srila Prabhupada has dispelled the darkness of ignorance, just like Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu is quoting. We're born in the darkness of ignorance, and Srila Prabhupada and all the Acharyas, they're forcing us to open our eyes to the transcendental nature. And the process is one of, I was listening in a class, Srila Prabhupada said that the process is one of cooperation. We have to cooperate, to join forces, cooperate. We have to work together to get out of this material world. We can't do it individually. And we have to cooperate with the message and the instruction of the spiritual master. Just like we're hearing this wonderful line of disciplic succession, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he was direct disciple of Srila Rupa Goswami. And then from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, and then Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. So, I mean, this is the transcendental line of knowledge that we have coming to us, you know, and we have the great mercy of receiving this knowledge just in a most perfect way. And we have to take it, the unadulterated knowledge, and at the same time pass it on. Just like we see that this is was mentioned previously, that so many people want to invent their own way. They want to take something, write their own book. No, we don't need any of that. Srila Prabhupada has given us everything. He said he's present in his books, and we know that his books are there. They're the standard for the next 10,000 years. So this is our mission. We have to cooperate together. If there's time, there was a class I was listening to was Srimad Bhagavatam class, first canto, and Srila Prabhupada just concluded the class. Let us understand how to approach the process of devotional service. So if there's time, I'd like to just read a little bit of the final part of Srila Prabhupada's class. Would that be okay?
Go ahead, please.
Good.
Could you give the reference, maybe?
Yes, if can be brought up.
Could bring it up on the screen.
Yes, it's the class, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 8, text number 36. It was class in Mayapur, October the 16th, 1974. We were in Mayapur in that 1974 for the big festival. So this was after the later on.
What was it, October? What did you say, October?
October the 16th, 1974.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Srila Prabhupada concludes, by this process, Srinvatan Gayanti Grinanti, you immediately, Achirena, very soon, the more you are sincere, you'll be able to see, first of all, the lotus feet of the Lord, Padambujam. The lotus feet of the Lord you'll be able to see. And that is the way of seeing. First of all, you have to see the lotus feet, then gradually the thighs, and then at last, the beautiful face. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, second canto, are 2 lotus feet of the Lord. We have to read very carefully because we have to see, first of all, Padam Bhujam. Don't go all of a sudden to see the face of the Lord, just like the Sahajas did. Their reading of Bhagavata means Rasalila. Rasalila is the smiling of Krishna, where Krishna is personally enjoying very sweet smiling. So you don't try to see the smiling of Krishna immediately. First of all, try to see the lotus feet of Krishna, Padam Bhujam. Then gradually rise. When you're accustomed to see, as soon as you close your eyes, immediately see Krishna's lotus, then you go further, go further, go further, go further. And that is Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second canto, third canto, fourth canto. In this way, you have to go to the 10th canto. Then 10th canto means the head, and then in the 10th canto, the chapters 29 through 35 chapter, that is smiling. Don't try to see Krishna smiling immediately, then you will be baffled. It requires qualification and it requires time. But if Krishna is pleased, he can show his smiling immediately. That is special favor. But the general way is to see, first of all, the lotus feet of Krishna and make your endeavor perfectly done by this Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Shmaranam, Gayanti. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23. This is the process. Thank you very much, devotees. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So I think this sums up very much how we have to approach our process of Krishna consciousness, listening and hearing and repeating the words of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
We're going to carry on in Australia. We've got another devotee there. I call him Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, the Samosa King. And he's attending our classes, and while he's working in his kitchen preparing samosas for the weekly distribution, I believe he does 2,000 samosas and some book distribution where his outlets are. Shama Sundar Prabhu, are you able to turn your microphone on for us today? Thank you. There you are.
Yes.
Hot in the
Hare
kitchen.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Yes, it is very hot here up in Cairns. So we're looking around 32 degrees as the summer bears down upon us. High humidity. Well, not high humidity just yet, but very hot. So yes, I have to dress accordingly.
It's okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a beautiful class. Wonderful commentary from all the Vaishnavas. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just wanted to make a little comment.
Please.
Just in regard, thank you. Just in regard to the aspiration for the spontaneous platform of devotional service. Obviously, that should be our goal,
Yes.
but obviously not a premature goal. And obviously, Prabhupada, he established our society as using Vaidhi Bhakti as its platform, as its foundation, to make sure that all Vaishnavas were behaving in a respectable fashion externally, and meanwhile, if they were so qualified, they could cultivate their spontaneous activities or desires or their practice in an internal way. But the point I wanted to make here was that
Yes.
I feel it's very important to have a roadmap by which we can kind of gauge our journey. And
Yes.
in my case, the coming across the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's book, Madhurya Kadambini, was very useful, because I remember in my early stages of practice, I had no idea when this fully blown Krishna conscious state would manifest. Absolutely had no idea. I was in a very neophyte understanding that perhaps it's just around the next corner. So after reading that book, I realized that obviously there's an art and a vritti, then one comes to the platform of Nishta, where one's sinful desires are basically nullified and one stops committing sinful activities. And then, of course, there's Ruchi, there's a Shakti, then there's Bhav. And it's really only at the platform above that the spontaneous practice can manifest in an honest and genuine fashion. But at this platform of Nishta, when one's anarthas are pretty much cleared, then the stirrings of spontaneous practice can begin. One can have an interest and one can start to explore, but at least one has to come to the platform of Nishta. And therefore, I just feel that it's a really a valuable resource tool for devotees to understand this Madhurya Kadambini. It's very helpful you can just lay the map out in front of you and say, well, this is where I'm at. I've got plenty of anarthas in my heart, so I'm not even at the platform of Nishta yet. So and of course, if one is introspective, then perhaps you are already at Nishta. You can judge for yourself, and of course, in consultation with other senior Vaishnavas and Shiksha gurus. So that's basically all my comments were, and thank you so much for the opportunity to contribute.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's a gradual process, and one should have faith in the words of the spiritual master as the guiding principle. And eventually, if you keep chanting every day your rounds and following the process, then naturally you'll get some vijnanam realizations, which will enable you to maintain your enthusiasm on the road back home, back to Godhead. I see we have another Australian there. We have a lot of Australian info.
Hare Krishna, yes. Thank you very much for the very enlightening explanations. I would just like to offer another reason why Sukadeva Goswami did not mention the name of Radha in Bhagavatam.
Huh?
Yes. First, I'll briefly explain where the information came from. In 2005, I talked my little brother, who's a meditator, into coming to Vrindavan. And he had a question. He wanted to know the name of Vyasadev's wife, the mother of Sukadeva Goswami. I said, I don't know, but I'm sure while I'm in Vrindavan, I can find out. So one day we were visiting the various temples in Vrindavan, and we went to Radharamana temple. And as we came out of Radharamana temple, there's a big archway over the entrance from the main street to Radharamana temple. So as we were coming out, there was a Indian gentleman standing in the archway. And as we walked up, he began to talk to us. And it turned out that he was a Pandit from the Pujari family who looks after, her name was Vataki. And he went on to explain further, why was Sukadeva Goswami called by that name? Sukha means parrot. Apparently, after Radha, this is what he explained, after Radharani left her manifestation, her pet parrot flew away and flew down to the mouth of Vataki, Vyasadev's wife, and he became Sukadeva Goswami. So why he didn't mention Radharani's name? Because if he had mentioned her name, he would have gone into an ecstatic swoon and been unconscious. Therefore, he couldn't actually say the name. So I thought that was a very interesting story, and I wanted to pass it on to you. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you very much. Lots of insight today. We're moving to the end of this program. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Any further information you want to share with the membership today? Dharma Bhavana.
Hare Krishna, yeah. I was just thinking how it's very, very difficult, almost impossible to properly speak about things beyond our realization. Just one time I was giving a talk on Radhastami, and I was thinking, what am I going to say? And I thought to tell the bumblebee story from Krishna book. And then I thought, well, maybe I should just see how Prabhupada gave a Radhastami class. So I looked it up, and he gave a very simple but wonderful class emphasizing how Srimati Radharani is the pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord. So he approached the class in that way, instead of going into some esoteric relationships of Mahabhava and things like that. But at the same time, for those devotees who want to hear from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, all the different emotions are there. But that was kind of my experience, how I shouldn't try to speak about something beyond my realization.
Well, that's a very honest statement, and I think that all of us should follow in your footsteps and do the same thing. This posing, posturing, and pretending to be advanced seems to be a disease that's infiltrated into Prabhupada's society, unfortunately, and it's just misleading people. Rupa Manjari in California, I see you've been on the class again today and regularly attending. Any thoughts you'd like to share with our group today?
Hare Krishna to everybody. Thank you so much for this wonderful class. I just am grateful to Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu for describing in such detail Srila Prabhupada's exalted stature. It's very comforting to know that we can just listen to what he has to say and follow and absorb his teachings, and in this way to become closer to Lord Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, and thank you very much. And we want to thank everyone who is attending our classes. I saw that I was talking to Bhaktivedanta Singh the other day, and Venkat Bhatta, he was showing me that we have 18,000 followers of the Krishna Consciousness Movement YouTube page, where all of our classes are being broadcast on an ongoing basis. And so we're gradually expanding this mission by the grace of Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, and the grace of all the Vaishnavas who are constantly attending the classes and sharing the information with others. So please go along. We're going to be producing a handout card. It'll be like, not this one here, that's for sure, but a card that they use for promoting, different events like this. We're going to be making one in different languages. So Vijay Pandit, when you go out, you can give the card out in Italian. It'll say, attend the classes 3 times a week. And then cultivate these people as they begin to understand the philosophy, and then you can encourage them. And then we continue the process of adding people to the mission of Lord Chaitanya as new devotees. And this will be the greatest victory that you can achieve in your devotional service. This Prabhupada was obviously focused on making new devotees all the time. It's not easy. It's very difficult, especially nowadays. So it takes a lot of work. You have to constantly follow up day after day with the new people and encourage them to get insight into who we are and they are in terms of our entanglement in this material world and how to get out. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Bhagavad Gita class as it is, and Sunday Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're reading from the original 62 versions. They're fantastic. And I think if you follow this program with us, you'll see the benefit and make advancement in Krishna consciousness due to the association of devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's have a kirtan. Venkat Bhatta.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.